Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Denton, Dallas, and Beyond Cooks. My name is Matt, and as always, I'm here with my buddy Crüe. If you have already subscribed to our page, thank you. We really appreciate your support. If you haven't, please, it's really simple. You just hit that notification bell and the subscribe button up in the top right-hand corner. A lot of our viewers have been writing in and saying, hey, when are you guys going to do steak? Well, this is your episode. Crüe, what do we have for you today?
Well, first off, I can't start this show any other way but to say that our little town of Denton that we are filming in has lots of local businesses that are really in need of our help. And one of them that has great product in town is Cane's Meat Market. So it's on Elm coming into Denton. You can find them at Cane's Meat Market on the web. But they have some of the best meats in this whole town. So I've got a ribeye here that I'm about to unwrap, and it is truly going to be a meaty Christmas.
It does. It feels like Christmas morning. Let's see what we got.
Okay, so I can tell you right now that this thing is wrapped twice, because the one thing that always aggravates me about butcher shops is that when you're taking stuff home, usually the meat leaks out in the bag, but they use 2 pieces of paper, so that helps. So now we got that, and look at this beautiful piece of meat.
Some good marbling.
Holy moly. So when the owner actually opened because he cut this one for me personally, when he opened up that whole prime rib roast, he said, this is one of the prettiest ones we've had in here.
Oh yeah. So
I am going to do very little as far as the prep work on this, because what we want is the meat to do the work. So I'm going to do just a little bit of olive oil on both sides.
Okay.
Here, Matt, I'm going to let you pour it on the other side, because I'm going to get all over this meat here. All right, perfect. So we're using avocado oil today. It's becoming one of our favorites because Matt had let us know earlier that it has a very high smoke point. So what is...
the avocado oil is usually around 250, 300, and... I'm sorry, olive oil is around 250 to 300. Avocado oil is about 450 degrees. So that's why I like using avocado oil.
Well, there may not be as much smoke in the studio today. So
maybe not.
Maybe not. So,
all right, well, I'm glad we're using just simple salt and pepper, because there are various other ways to make a steak, and you could probably talk to 10 people and get 10 different opinions. But for DDB COOKS purposes and our personal preferences, we're just using salt and pepper. Some people put Montreal seasoning on there, various other stuff. But like Crüe said, we're going to let the steak do the work, because we're going to let all that fat melt down, and that's where you're going to get the flavor from.
And one of the things that I will say is that if you really want to get a good crust on a steak, you're going to need this salt to sit on this steak for just a little bit. So I'd recommend going ahead and putting this thing salted back into the fridge for maybe like 20-30 minutes.
Okay.
Let that salt kind of meld in there. We'll get the pepper on here in a second, and we're going to stick this in there and let it rest for 30 minutes, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so we've got the salt that has melded into the meat here. If you look really closely, you can see that salt is pulling a little bit of the moisture out of the meat, which is really going to help to get this crust formed on here. One of the real advantages of doing a thick cut ribeye is the fact that it's really hard to overcook it, but the downside is it takes a little bit longer to get this thing cooked to temperature.
That looks so good. I will wait patiently. It's going to be hard, but I will do it.
I had a feeling. So we're just about ready to get this thing into the skillet. What else are we going to do with this thing here?
Well, once we get the sear on there, we're definitely gonna put some butter on top of it and some of this amazing blue cheese, and we're just gonna let that melt over it in the oven. And I cannot wait to taste it. And we haven't even started cooking it yet.
So just one other thing about these big ribeyes is that you've got 4 flat surfaces that you have to work with here. So when we sear, we're going to sear it on every single side.
All right.
Okay.
Let's take it to the stove.
Let's do it.
For today's steak, we're using approximately 4 tablespoons of butter. Now, depending on how big of the steak you cook, you can always use more, you can always use less, but who doesn't like butter? Now that we got the blue cheese and the butter sprinkled on there, we're going to cook this at 350 degrees, and we're looking for an internal temperature of about 130 to 135. That temperature is going to get you a perfect medium rare. Guys, our steak is finally done. There's only one problem. We gotta let it rest a little bit so all those juices go back into where they need to go to.
We do.
Fortunately, we have something else that we can do while we're waiting.
So we'll go ahead and tent this steak for just a little bit. Put a little aluminum foil just lightly draped over there just to kind of keep the heat moving in the right direction.
Move this carefully over here.
And then we're going to work on our cabbage dish.
That's right.
So we're going to do a little bit of braised cabbage today.
Absolutely.
Which we're going to use the juices from that pan. And
nothing goes to waste on
and
DDB Cooks.
Right, and a couple of other ingredients. Matt, what are we working with here?
So, well, we've got some beef bouillon that we're going to use to deglaze the pan.
Yep.
We can't do anything without garlic.
Nope.
Why?
Why?
Got our cabbage here. We're going to use a little bit of salt and pepper. And just because we're begging for an endorsement, we're going to use Old Bay.
Old Bay, please.
Old Bay.
Come, bring the money to the people.
All right, let's take this to the stove.
All right, let's do it.
Now that we've got our pan super hot, we're going to add in a few tablespoons of garlic. Get that garlic warming up and get all of those flavors coming right through. At this point, remembering that the steak had been heavily seasoned already, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of Old Bay, and then throw your cabbage in to give it a nice brothy bath.
Well, this is going to be fun. I know you've been waiting for this for a good 30 minutes or so.
Yes, I have been.
It's been a very painful process waiting for this thing to actually get devoured. But
Yeah.
You know what? You've got to let your meat rest.
It does.
If you cut it immediately, it's going to bleed out all the juices, and that's not what you want. But I've got another surprise for you here. Let's see how we did on the cabbage.
All right, so with the cabbage, we just braised this again in some of the beef stock as well as the bits and pieces out of that pan. Took about maybe 5 or 6 minutes after it came to a boil, and we put the lid on, and it smells pretty good. So that's kind of exciting right there.
Oh yeah.
But not as exciting as it's going to be to cut this steak. So let me go ahead and take a little whack at this and see if we've got what we were looking for here. All right. We've got a nice little crust on there. This came out medium, which is a little higher temp than what I would normally have them at.
I think it's still going to be very tender and delicious.
It's still very, very juicy, as we can see here. So I'm going to go ahead and...
Like how the fat broke down there.
Yeah.
In between there. That's just going to incorporate tons of flavor.
I can hardly wait. I'm going to cut us up a couple little pieces of this while you dishes out some cabbage.
That's enough cabbage for now.
All right, so we've got this thing plated up, and it is time to start tasting here.
If you make me wait any longer, I'm going to get as angry as you did on the spatchcock.
Yes, I was pretty angry there, so let's get in there.
All right. Nice little crust on there.
We'll own up to it. I'll overcook this a little bit. Flavors are good. Moisture is there.
Definitely taste the blue cheese.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So meat still tastes good. It's just it's at medium.
It's still very tender. It's just I don't think I've ever had blue cheese, garlic, braised cabbage before.
I gotta say, it's unfortunate, but the cabbage is the star of this particular show.
It is really good.
That cabbage is fantastic. Wow. And the garlic and the Old Bay, all of it sets it off. I'm going back in for one more. Go ahead.
Maybe it's the Old Bay. Who knows?
So where can they find us, Matt?
Well, sooner or later, it's going to be at McCormick's.com.
I hope so.
But until then, Denton, Dallas, and beyond, please subscribe to our page. You know you're going to want to do it, and you're never going to want to miss one of our future episodes.
Absolutely. And if you want to send us a message, you can find us at info@DentonDallasandBeyond.com, or you can get our voicemail at 940-320-9097. We thank everybody that has been clicking through our links, and has been going to the Facebook page.
Yes.
And we hope certainly that all of your sautés and sauternes turn out excellent.
Goodbye.
Well, hello there. I'm Crüe from Denton, Dallas and Beyond Cooks. Perhaps you also remember me from such non-Academy Award-winning documentaries as Rid of COVID 2020. Now here on Denton, Dallas and Beyond Cooks, we always try to make sure that our sautés and sauternes turn out perfectly. But in this particular episode, something went horribly awry. Right in the middle of our cooking process, our cooking thermometer went out, and we had no idea that our steak was getting slightly overdone. Now, I don't know about you, but when I cut open a steak, I want it to be perfect. So, here it is, the redo of the steak. I hope you enjoy it.